Welcome to From an Educator. In this episode, we talk about self-care. Let's get to it. Welcome back to From an Educator. I'm Mr. James, an educator. In this episode, show number 59, we're talking about self-care. It's currently Friday. It's May 21st. I've had a very long week, and I'm ready for a little weekend time to basically do everything that I still do at school, but not in front of children, which is grading and preparing for the next rotation. So we have 4 rotations of students. We just finished the 3rd this week. It was highly, I think, emotional because I won't be seeing these students until next year, and just want to wrap up everything into a neat bow and try to connect the dots. And it's really hard to do that. It's also difficult when work is not being done online and when it's just hard to connect things that students haven't been paying attention to. So it's a little bit stressful, I guess, within the school right now. But everything's being turned in. Everyone's trying to have meetings, figuring out where the budget's going. That was a big thing that happened this past week. So there may be another music teacher, not in my position, but in a position that I help with at another school. So I guess we can be hopeful that that happens, because my next year looks incredibly complex. Like I'm going to practically live on a Google Calendar. Man, not that I don't already, but I'll be cutting it close probably more than once. So I hope everyone's doing well, and let's move on to Maine updates as of May 21st, 2021. So as far as COVID-19 in the state, today we had a total of 219 cases, with a 7-day average of 213. So obviously it's getting less than we've had before, and I feel things are getting better. I did hear about this coronavirus being spread in dogs. That kind of sort of, I think, a mutation that made its way into dogs, and they don't see that it's being transmitted from dogs to humans yet. So there's that, but it's still a concern. And I don't know, I still feel some of these things that are happening around the state, like certain stores are saying, hey, if you're vaccinated, great, you don't have to wear masks. And that kind of leaves the door open for everybody to not wear a mask, because no one's going to check anyone. Where's your vaccination card? And they talked about having a bracelet or whatever where you could show that you were vaccinated. But I don't see it being mandated for anyone wearing that sort of thing. The masks continue to stay on in school. I think that's, great, and it should continue. I mean, the best thing is to keep this going until the end of the year. We have 2 weeks and a few days left, and make sure everybody is still remaining safe, and we still clean up and all the PPE that we have to do to make sure everything stays going its course. So today we're talking about 2 major topics, and I wanted to go into detail with this because this has been thrown around the internet. I see it everywhere. I've been looking at articles, reading about this, and honestly, we have someone working at the school that has been having sessions with us, and they want to talk about social emotional learning and self-care, self-soothing. They call it self-care, but I want to delineate the difference between self-care and self-soothing, because I think we get everything confused, especially since everyone goes through these crises and stress a little bit differently. So self-soothing, if you're looking at the slide on the YouTube channel right now, you're seeing a person smoking, and it looks like they're putting their head in their hand. Maybe they're upset, or maybe they're just stressed out and they need a break. And they're using a cigarette as something to soothe themselves. So, first off the bat, self-soothing is not self-care. It's a backup skill in time of support needs. So when you need support to resist a negative urge. So you get stressed out. Maybe you want to, lash out at your stressor. Maybe it's a person, and you might want to do something negatively, something bad, something that could hurt you, hurt the other person, something you might regret. So instead of doing that, you choose to do this thing, and that's your self-soothing. Could be smoking, could be drinking, it could be eating, it could be exercise, it could be all of these different things that you do to help self-soothe. Now, you're going to have to be the judge what you think is healthy and what is not healthy, because I could clearly right now talk from a standpoint of somebody who's interested in health, someone who's studied in the public health sphere for a while, about what is healthy and not healthy for you. And yes, I do have a background also in psychology, so I can get a little in depth in with that as well. But the point is to realize that if you do something like that to self-soothe, that you're doing it to self-soothe yourself. You might get an addiction to this, because this might be your default soothing method, which is not going to be the best thing, especially if it's something that is harmful to your body or can carry on some lasting negative effects. But you need to realize that this is what you're doing, and it's a band-aid that's fixing your urges. So we can't rely on these band-aids, right? It's not fixing everything. Much like somebody who has an issue going on with their body that is brought on maybe by their diet or lack of, movement, and they take a pill. And the pill is a band-aid because they haven't changed anything. They still maintain that routine that they have. And yet the pill is added because the pill takes away that negative thing that happens to their body because they're not changing their routine. So humans crave routine and pleasure. You can argue that with me if you want, but we all have routines in our lives. We like to have routines because we know what's going to happen. There's less stress with routines. Also, our brain has many routines it does without us doing anything. You could be sitting on the couch watching TV, completely zoning out, and yet your brain is doing hundreds of tasks to keep you alive, to keep your temperature right. Your cells might be changing in your body. Things have to happen. Your brain is always taking care of this. So it has routines built in already. When we have routines, we don't have to think so much about doing them. We also get more efficient at doing them, which means we use less energy, which is great because then, we're stronger and we don't have to rely on taking in fuel constantly to replenish because of all the working that we're doing. When we do it more efficiently, we use less energy, then we require less energy. So we can routinely eat similar things day to day and maintain this homeostasis. Otherwise, you'd be constantly gaining weight, constantly losing weight, up and down, fluctuating, because it'd be really difficult if things didn't start getting easier for you in your routines. So along with that, we crave pleasure. And everyone does this. Animals do this as well. We all want the pleasure of relaxing, of no stress. Maybe it's something that you're using to self-soothe, like candy, some sort of treat or food item, whatever. We like to default to pleasure, right? If just even doing something and getting into that flow state where everything seems to work out. If I'm playing a guitar and wow, everything seems to be coming so easily, and oh, that solo I memorized, I'm so good at playing this now, and it's taking less effort. This is great. I made a routine out of it. There's pleasure in that, and we seek that. But sometimes we seek that in a way that hurts us in the long run. And that's going to be a problem. And that's where you have to recognize, what you're doing, as well as if you need to change it. I mentioned in the slide, we need to have fewer urges. If you have an urge to do something, why do you have the urge? Figure out why you're having this urge. Why do you follow certain routines? If your routine of daily life gets changed, how much does this throw you off? How much throwing your routine off makes you want to seek pleasure or seek something to soothe you? And can you find something healthy to do that with? Or can you find a way to default that into maybe adapting to the new routine? And that's kind of what we have to do. We have to get better at adapting and changing to these routines. So we need less self-soothing. So hopefully now you understand self-soothing is this sort of like Band-Aid, quick, short time limit fix that might actually hurt us and create bad habits and doesn't really do much for us but make the pain go away. I mentioned that we all need to upgrade your crisis kit to reflect healthy fixes. So if you have a problem right now with stress, healthy way to do that, figure out what is healthy. And it's not too difficult to find out. If you go on YouTube, go on Google, and maybe type in just ways to deal with stress or anything, healthy this, healthy that. If it's food that seems to be your crux, find a healthy version of what you might crave. You crave chocolate? Hey, there's an amazing YouTube channel called Living Healthy with Chocolate. That's one. That's a plug for that person. There's so many different ways to find out what a healthy version of that. Case in point, the slide, person smoking. Person smoking might enjoy actually inhaling something into their lungs, or it just be one of those things where the smell of the smoke is something they enjoy. The nicotine, that little whatever they get from nicotine, or it's the fact that they can be by themselves, because a lot of smokers go outside and have a place where they can just kind of like detach from the world for that 5 minutes or so that it takes them to smoke a cigarette or whatever. So find out what it is that you need, find a healthy way to fill that need, but also realize it's a soothing thing. It's not something that, it's not a long-term fix. This is something that fixes in the meantime while you work on something else, which is going to be the next slide, called self-care. And the last little thing I wrote on this slide is check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? So make sure you know what you're doing to your body. Always check on your routines throughout the day. Check on how you live. Figure out, is there something I can do to upgrade that? I do the same thing with food. And I do this with my schedule as well, but I do the same thing with food when I'm looking at what I eat weekly. I'm like, well, last week I made these salads and this other thing to go with it. What are the ingredients I used? I liked it, but I just felt it needed something else. Next week, it's going to be upgraded. I have every Sunday to do that. so that I can get better at making this food that not only has lots of vitamins and minerals in it, let's get the nutrients I need, but, fats, carbohydrates, proteins, fiber. And if I eat it, do I feel great and I have lots of energy, and nothing's gonna slow me down. I'm trying to always look to get rid of that afternoon slump, which seems to happen at the end of every school day for most teachers, because we're tired after having so many students come through our classes, especially as UA teachers, that it's just mentally you're drained. So I want nutrition that's going to make sure if I had to teach all over again from that point, that I could do it. And so I'm constantly upgrading everything. So upgrade things in your life if you can find something that just might make it easier. Could be even clothing, could be just simple little things. I don't wear glasses. These are computer glasses that I'm wearing right now. A long time ago, I realized I was going to be on a computer quite a bit with some of the classes I was taking, because I did more of an online thing. And I said, I'm going to be looking at a screen. I don't want to have to be wiping my eyes and get them bloodshot from being dry. I need some sort of thing to filter out the blue light. And I did get something on the computer to do that with software, but I got the glasses and they actually help retain moisture from drying out. And I guess they look spiffy. I don't know. It's really about function. And that goes along with self-care. So self-care, if you can look at the picture right now, if you're not seeing the picture, these are people who are doing, it looks like Pilates. I could say yoga, but could be yoga. Could be. There's a little bit of crossover there. Pilates is working more of the core, so this looks like something that's really big for their core. But you can also do this in yoga. I wouldn't know the move, but those mats would generally be called yoga mats. So self-care is about creating resilience and ways that you can work in a routine so that helps you thrive so you can move forward. Like I mentioned with the glasses, this was something that I knew I needed. I was going to be looking at a screen and I wanted some protection from that screen, and I got them. And it's not soothing a short-term fix. It's creating something that I can use long-term, and it's been helping my eyes. And it's not a prescription thing, so I don't need glasses. It's just there to deflect the blue light, as well as keeping it so that my eyes do not get too dry. And it's something I created that helps me to be resilient so I can keep doing things like I'm doing right now, talking to a camera. But it's just, self-care is something you do for yourself, a routine that helps your body, that helps you to be more resilient, something that you worked into your program. Say, for instance, right now on the screen, there's people doing Pilates, yoga, whatever. They're doing stretching. Imagine every day if at a certain time of day your back hurts. And you know that if you woke up a little bit earlier in the morning and you stretched, whatever stretches you might need, that later in that day your back wouldn't hurt because you would have stretched yourself out and it would help flex the muscles. If that's something you can do to make that happen, that's self-care. If when your back hurt, you take some sort of pain reliever and you just forget about it. Oh, okay, I have to take that pain reliever a day, but the back problem keeps happening. That's self-soothing. You're taking care of yourself for just that moment with this pain reliever, and you're relying on something that long-term is not healthy. Self-care is kind of a preemptive strike on things that you know are going to affect you. And you could call it all forms of exercise and healthy eating self-care. That's very easily to do, but really I'm thinking it in terms of things that you do to kind of combat those things that are inconveniences or could create a negative reaction in you during the day. And we have to always be aware of what those are. So I split this slide up into a couple different bullet points. The one I want to start with is something called time management. And we know what that is, right? If we have a schedule, we should have some sort of time management. If we have certain things we have to go do at a certain time, we should know when we have to be there. I mentioned I'm practically married to a Google Calendar, and I'm going to be even more so in the fall. But we need to understand how we're using our time and if it's all being used wisely. Because downtime sometimes can create a problem where we need to find pleasure or something to soothe ourselves, and that can create a bad habit. So finding a way, looking at your schedule currently, it might change a little bit. It might be different on the weekends and the week. Find something you might need to do to improve yourself or improve something. Say, okay, am I waking up early enough? When I'm eating, what are the times that I actually eat? Because generally they could be the same every single day, or at least during the week, and then the weekends be different. But find out what that is. Is it working for you? Is there some point where you feel you don't have enough energy? I mean, that could just be what you're eating, but find if how you've arranged things to happen during the day, if that's working for you. I did that a long time ago with workouts. I just said, it's just not happening after school in the afternoon, at nighttime. I mean, I did it all different forms. And then I said, I'm going to try in the morning, right when I wake up. And it was so hard to do that. In fact, I had a coach helping me through this thing, through the school, that program. And I had this coach headed for 4 years. And then another company bought this. Coach Jessica, I don't know if she'll be watching this, but hey, thanks. And she was like, you can exercise in the morning. It'd be great for you to do that. And, mentioning, possibly helping with some fat burning because you're fasting during the night. And if you exercise fasting, it's different. And I tried it a couple of times. I can't do this. I just cannot wake up. I don't know what's going on. Well, what was the problem? I was staying up late some nights. I didn't have the best diet. Sometimes I had digestive issues. And I was letting myself get stressed out. And so I kind of was self-soothing, I guess, with more sleep. And guess what? The sleep I was getting wasn't that good anyways. So it doesn't matter how many more hours I tried to sleep. I still woke up feeling horrible. Now I wake up early, I work out, and I feel great, for the rest of the day. It's one of those things that it's helping me. Even if my workout doesn't look like, someone going right to the wall with everything, it's still something that helps me get through the day. And, I'm not looking to enter a bodybuilding contest anytime soon. It's one of those things that's a self-care thing. But I found that out by just looking at my time. I managed my time better, and I'm still working on that. Still working on that with everything I do, because sometimes I don't want to do things, but I know it's the right time to do that. And so it's one of those things where you have to coax yourself and be determined. You have to be motivated and disciplined. These are all big words that we don't like to hear, and especially because we're looking in to ourselves, right? You're your own worst critic. So diet and exercise upgrading is my next little bullet point. Diet and exercise constantly. Even if your exercise is merely going to work, find more time to walk around. Maybe change your diet like I do. Every now and then I find something I think, I want to eat more of that vegetable. I want to try these things. Maybe if I eat this at this time, this will help me with that, as far as carbohydrate cycling and such. It's just ways so that I can keep my energy up throughout the day so I don't get tired, so I don't get any cravings or urges for anything. One of the things we do if we lose sleep is we get an urge for sweets because our brain is telling us, hey, you need calories, and the best calories are the ones that taste good and that you want to basically eat. And we have like we have an evolution towards sweet things, that because sweets carry with them a lot of calories, right? Sweet apple off the tree compared to what, an acorn. You actually can eat acorns. You have to boil them though, because they're poison if you don't. But I don't think it's going to match the taste of a fresh apple. We just love sweets. But improve and manage your diet and your exercise. If you can find something throughout the day you can do a little bit more of, it's if it is movement based, great, do that. If you find something that you like to eat and the profile looks good for nutrients, that's great. If you find a different time to eat, well, that's more time management, but there's still something. So that's all self-care. The next bullet point is going to be a bit of a doozy: relationships and downtime. So your relationship with another person, that that is quite a bit of self-care. How you react to another person, and this can be even like an intimate relationship you have with somebody, and things that you do in your downtime. So you have a working life possibly, and you have a life that's not working. You're not focused on doing something for some sort of business to make money. You know, what are you doing in the downtime? As far as relationships, how are you reacting to other people? How does this fit into your life? And is it something that's good for you? Does it feel like it has a positive reflection or a negative reflection? And then, is it doing something? Are your relationships your downtime, or do you have another downtime for yourself? I would suggest everybody have a downtime that is just for them alone, so that you can get used to taking care of the other things I mentioned, the self-care of just managing your time, your diet, your exercise, movement. You don't want to be reliant on someone else. You don't want to be codependent on someone else, where your life hinders on the actions of another person. And I know if you're a child and you're listening to this, first of all, welcome. I didn't expect you to be in my audience, but you probably can learn a lot from all of these episodes, I guess. But if you're younger and you feel like you're relying on another person, find a way to create some of your own time. Create time that you are in control of. You may find that you have a lot of that actually. And sometimes you may find that you're actually doing things with another person. You're seemingly like you're following their program, their routine, but you're actually doing something for yourself, and they're kind of just like a cohort. They're kind of helping you, and they're like a friend. I mean, this could even be a relationship like a son or daughter has with a father or mother, feeling that their parents always make them do something, but it's something they would like to do, and they actually have the opportunity to do something, and they have a ride to get there or whatever. It's, whatever it is, you just want to know that it's something that you can be invested in these things. Self-care is also something you want to do where you're in the moment. You be invested in what you are doing. It's not always exactly what you want to do, maybe, but you can find the good in it. Sometimes we don't have a choice of things we want to do, and we have to find a way to pull in the positive aspects of it to make us motivated so we can get through it. And hopefully not to go self-soothe at the end. We need to find the good in things. And that really is the major thing of self-care, is that if you can find good in every single thing you're doing during the day, then you have a lot of self-care built in, and you really want that to happen. My last little point on this slide, I wrote, self-care is putting yourself first. Self-soothing is making the pain go away so you don't have to think about yourself. Plan self-care when you don't need it. And that's the truth. You want to be able to care for yourself, and you want to preemptively plan things throughout your day, a routine that you might have, managing your time, where it's going to take care of things that might happen. So something bad can happen any day. There can be really horrible things that happen that you have to adapt to, and you're probably not going to be ready for any of these. I don't think we can preemptively make ourselves sad and find a way to go through grief, so that when we actually have to go through it, that it doesn't affect us as much. I think it's okay to feel upset. It's okay to go through a grieving process. I've been doing that these past few weeks of school, saying goodbye to students and literally goodbye to my curriculum that I was making all along, and fixing things, and then saying goodbye to it because it's never going to come back. The following year is not going to be anything like this year. I don't believe it's going to be like this year. I actually enjoyed this year. I got a lot of things done, and the self-care that I did, the effort I put into making my schedule that worked with this program is something I continue to do. And I don't want a routine that is imposing on that, but I know it's going to happen, and I know I have to adapt. So I'm currently working on a way to plan for the fall, and it may even be waking up a half an hour earlier, which seems like probably my original goal for 4:30, but can I not go to bed half an hour earlier? So I already feel like I go to bed early as it is. But if it has to happen, it has to happen. And it's just going to be my way to self-care about my body so I can keep doing it. We have to last. Make yourself last. Choose self-care. So in today's 60-second rant, I have a rant on addiction to soothing in 3, 2, 1. So we have a culture currently, I believe, in America of addiction. An addiction to soothing. Soothing meaning you've been marketed to want to cure everything that ails you. Are you in pain? Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? Have this right now. It's going to soothe your problems. We have pills being marketed to people to fix little issues they might have with their body, let alone that it has a million side effects, but it's going to fix this problem that you need right now because you need it to happen right now. There's a problem with this. Self-care is something that you have to do long-term. And self-soothing is something that's going to be short-term. It's a Band-Aid. It's not going to really help you. So if you're going for that smoke or that drink or whatever, think about what it's doing to you long-term. And is this really helping you, or is it creating more of an addiction? Don't feed an addiction. Is that good advice? I hope so. So thank you everybody for joining me on episode number 59. As always, subscribe, like, comment. I'm ready to answer some comments. That'd be great. And I definitely want to know where someone's coming from this idea of self-care, self-soothing. Are you hearing this a lot? Is it like buzzwords? Self-care. This is self-care. Eat this candy bar for self-care. It's actually self-soothing. Most of these things we're hearing about and being marketed to are self-soothing things. And are they really helping us? Band-Aids don't help so much. It's our body that heals us, right? But find out what you're doing in your life that is self-care. Find out what is self-soothing, and you need to make more self-caring. And for your soothing things, are they healthy? And are you not addicted to them? We have a culture of addiction. Don't be one of those statistics. We don't need that. You're better. So Take care of yourself.